We wouldn't have the great security that we have from foreign attack in the United States if we hadn't made this 7-decade-long commitment to keep American military forces in Germany, Italy, and the United Kingdom. To have this alliance where we support each other, it's so important. When I go around and talk about this in our country, I tell the story of 9/11. I was a very new American ambassador to NATO on 9/11. We were 6 hours ahead of the East Coast in time, and in the mid to late afternoon, I couldn't reach anybody at the State Department, the Defense Department, and the White House because they'd been evacuated. There was a fear of a second attack, as you will remember, after we were devastated by the attacks on the Pentagon and the Twin Towers in Manhattan. And during that intervening time, each of the NATO ambassadors came to me, led by the Canadian ambassador, and they said, we want to invoke Article 5. The treaty says in Article 5, an attack on one of us will be considered an attack on all of us. And this was the guarantee that if Stalin or Khrushchev had attacked in the darkest days of the Cold War, the United States would come again across the Atlantic to protect Europe. And the great irony is, we only invoked Article 5 once in the history of those 70 years of NATO, and that was September 12, 2001. On the next day, we all sat around the table, the NATO ambassadors, and on behalf of our governments, we invoked Article 5. And the irony is, it was the Europeans and Canadians coming to the defense of the United States. And what that meant was that when we went into Afghanistan following 9/11, every NATO ally came in with us. Every NATO ally has fought with us. They have suffered more than 1,000 combat deaths. The European allies and the partners, they paid the price with us. You can't buy an alliance like that in the world today. When I called Condoleezza Rice, the National Security Advisor to President George W. Bush, I called her early in the morning of the 12th, 4 a.m. Washington time. I said, Condi, the allies want to invoke Article 5 with us. They want to go to war with us. I need the President's permission that we're going to agree to this and all go to war together. And she said, go for it. The President's behind this. The President wants you to do it. And before we hung up on the phone, she said, you know, it's good to have friends in the world. And I think on 9/11, we felt so embattled. We'd lost 3,000 people in Manhattan and at the Pentagon. We needed a friend, and our friends stood up for us. That's why we need NATO, and that's why it's highly relevant for the United States in 2019.